to this 5th video in the series on how to see in blocks so you can paint better faces. Today we've got a black dog with some interesting shadows. We've got light coming in from this angle, casting a shadow of his ear across his face. Now this is a challenge because it creates some areas of sharp light on a dark surface, and my brain, and probably yours, wants to make the whole dang thing black. So we're going to have to overcome that tendency. And here's how. First, we're going to look at the outline so we can get all the anatomy in the right spot. Then we'll find the first layer of shadows, and then we'll find the deep shadows. And this is going to form a value study for a bigger painting. I'm going to give this guy a little bit more room. I don't want to do a painting where his ears are cut off. Shooting for about the same proportions. Let's start on that outline. To get the anatomy right, I'm looking at angles and straight lines wherever possible. Now, I don't really like how his body is sitting here. I want this to be a little bit more of a traditional portrait where people, or dogs in this case, are sitting upright. So I'm going to pretend that comes down here. Now we're going to put this shape over here. You can take a look at the first video in the playlist for more detailed instructions on how to do the outline specifically. But for this video, I want to focus on the blocks. At the top of this ear, about a third of the way in, this line comes down, angle like that to just below a third. This one, if I was to extend that, would come from somewhere up there. Where's the top of the head? Noticing this is really long compared to that. I've got something in the wrong place. Here's my halfway point. It's this one. We'll look at the eye line as one line. And I'm going to look at the center of the face as one line. That's the axis of this face. Bottom of the chin. Let's call that good enough for an outline. Get it in there a little darker. This ear is too big. His head is a little too fat. I'm going to fill in the background so I don't forget my new lines. Just reinforce that a little. The outline's matching much better now. I think I gotta fix some of these face lines too. Something interesting that happens when you're looking at features is that our brains make the features bigger because they're more important. I mean, you're never gonna look at someone's face and focus on their forehead to see information. So your brain just kind of deletes it. So I just made a face way too big. Now I got to make it smaller to be realistic. So there's most of the edges, but where are the blocks? First thing I'm going to look for are these lightest areas. Even though the fur here is black, the paint shouldn't be. There's only 2 little areas there that are light. This is arguably light also. So let's use a grayscale to check. Yeah, we have white, yes. White, yes. Off-white. And yeah, that's pretty light. That's darker, quite a bit darker. Wow, quite a bit darker. You know, these are getting into the darker side. So I'm going to leave these two areas as the only brights, and everything else gets to be filled in darker. Now let's find the blacks. I'm looking at this area under here. I'm looking at this area here, which excludes the eye and a little bit of a triangle under the eye. And there's a little bit of a light edge that we can leave here too. I see a spot right here above the eye. Which is going to be the mirror of this spot here. Here's a black shape. The edges are all dark. Same with this one. Big triangle. Couple more black shapes. Already we're getting a lot of roundness here. Lastly, I'm looking for my dark grays. So that's anything in this region on my value scale. So a lot of the details in this area are going to be this darker gray. It's not black, but it's close. Shapes like this. Got a marking up here. And this area is darker than this area. And I want to make sure that comes through. I'm even going to accentuate the dark here. There you have it. You can clearly see that these areas are white paint, this is gray paint, and this is black paint. If you want me to do a breakdown of your reference photo, check out the link in the show notes. Otherwise, keep an eye out for the next video on black fur before we go into the hard stuff like spots and tricolor and patterns, in other words. I hope this was helpful. I'll see you next time.
Thanks for watching. Bye.